A very good morning. We're glad you're still with us, and welcome back for that conversation that was the kickstarter for our day. Now, let's stay with matters arts and music and delve into what is no doubt one of the leading issues: leadership within the music industry. The arts are being challenged not only to be able to bellow out nice music and a lot of other things that make the world a better place to be, but to also understand how to govern themselves. Is government intervention needed to ensure that Uganda Musicians Association gets back on track, or they have what it takes to be able to realign their house? Joining me for this discussion is seasoned. Seasoned arts journalist Andrew Kagwa. How are you doing?
I'm good. Easy.
Easy. I can see easy. And Mr. Rama Muhinda, yes, a reggae artist.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here.
Effectively, I'm the odd man out.
Oh.
You don't
I'll be considering a bit of that. How? I don't know. Give me an idea. If I do, which style best fits? Could it be this or the other? I think I like the other one more. This one makes you look more like a lady. So, effectively. But anyway, yeah, we shall leave that at that. I'll consider that some other time. What is happening at UMA right now?
Just like these situations have been on. Like there was a time I think I was one of the panelists on a debate, and at that time I was thinking they're actually going to have this election. But then of course there was also that gut that I do not believe they are going to have it, and the gut one, they did not really have the election. Because at first it was the artists that did not believe in the process, and then they did everything to see that they kind of have an election where they can trust the process, and then they postponed it. Now the government kind of intervened.
Mr. Rama,
yes,
Mahinda,
yes,
you're an artist.
Yes.
Does government have to intervene in these matters?
Well, to begin with, I will appreciate NTV for considering to identify me, because I'm one of the most informed, credible, and also a participant in the election itself.
Yes.
So, with your question of government being involved, there would not be a problem if there was goodwill. But apparently, we don't have any kind words for the minister and all the actions that are going on.
What are these?
Well, the association was founded by private members who are stakeholders, who are artists themselves, and there is what we know as a policy board that is provided for by the association constitution. Now, when the minister comes in and at the last minute, after actually being engaged, because she was asked to help with some funding before the elections, and they said the UMA election is not part of any government activity, so they have no obligation. Now, when things go on the other side, we had the technical glitch with NITA systems and what, so we had to postpone the election, and the policy board had to find all other alternatives. The best alternative was to reschedule the election for a physical participation of those members who can. Now, the association is national and not only in Kampala. This is where the biggest problem is coming.
Okay.
The regional leaders feel like they are left out.
Sidelined.
Yeah, they are sidelined. Okay. And they wrote petitions to UNCC and NCF, and this is how the minister gets involved.
Okay.
Now, with all challenges and all due respect to the Ministry of Gender, that is directly aligned to the arts ministry, arts sector, I think they really had bias, because the policy board is established in law, and it has credible members that have been doing whatever it takes. But with the minister's directive, it is like they are saying the policy board doesn't know what it's doing, or the artists are disorganized, or we have no proper direction. So I think there was really a bad involvement, and there's no goodwill towards it. However, we have had a lot of other information on the side that there are people who are fighting the art sector itself. So we want to find out.
Wow, that is a whole lot that is brewing. It's not just a small cup of coffee. The politics of the day cannot be distanced from the music industry. After all, many of the people who bankroll the music are politicians.
Correct.
How did we find ourselves in a position where the politics now seems to be the overriding factor in shaping the direction that we are taking?
Well, that's a very great question and a very difficult one to just attack. But anyway,
All right.
Truth be told, salt and sugar got mixed. You know, the sugar is the music, the salt is the politics. So, of course, artists, one of the most celebrated artists, became a presidential candidate, and the long story cut short, government declared the arts industry as a national security threat to begin with. So, in amidst COVID, is when I think people started hearing names like General Saleh, General Idro, all these people, Gulu, the Gulu saga, and all that. So at that time, the association did not have what is known as a policy board. And the association was in a briefcase. It was a briefcase office. It was just moving with people.
And someone had that briefcase.
And someone had that briefcase, you know?
A particular person.
A particular person, yes.
We know him?
We know him or her, but
you might
apparently it was the General Secretary
General
at the
Secretary.
time, who is still an incumbent and candidate in the race. So this person already had a kind of partnership with government because she was doing probably campaigns and all this. So it was quite easy for her to lobby from government. In her sense, to the rest of the executive members, she was lobbying for the association. And especially since we had been hit by COVID, the members were all disgruntled and all these online WhatsApp groups were being formed to keep musicians together. So the association was simply moving on like two people, a popular man known as Walter and the General Secretary. So these people started the Gulu system, and this is where government gets directly involved. Well, today I moved actually with a document that I wanted all musicians out there to remember where this all started. This says...
Let me have a look.
Yes.
All right.
This is a document adopted from Gulu, from the resolutions that General Saleh suggested for the artists and the artist leaders. So it was an assignment given to artists as big as Jose Chameleon, who had formed splitter groups. We should know that WUMA currently is supposed to be Uganda Musicians Associations, not only one association.
So it's supposed to be a head of associations.
Good. It is to be like, it's supposed to be the mother of all these other splitter associations. Because we know we have Kadongo Kamu, we have Grill Band, we have...
Which many of them are, I would say, are quite very useless. Like, I mean, many of the associations.
Because they all actually went to Gulu and they were told, please go back and all work together under one association. So at that moment, I personally, I was part of some of those meetings, and I really saw the goodwill for the youth, a good opportunity of government trying to separate those who really want to be artists and those who have self-interests, who are going into politics and what. Because there was a clear line drawn that you guys, you should actually stick to developing your sector than trying to get into national issues. So there was quite a very good future being seen ahead, and General Saleh told these people, please go back, read these resolutions, learn how government works if you want to work with us or if you want government to help you in any kind of way. And he made an emphasis on the 5 Ps, the planning, process and procedure, or how government works. So now this message to all the candidates of the association and artists out there and stakeholders: none of you has done what was asked of you. So I don't even remember where they mentioned that we should seek government involvement, that we should run to the minister in case of a dispute, that we should, you know, do all these things.
Wow, that's very interesting. Andrew Kagwa, just your submission on that.
Okay, one of the very first things I would say is one, we do not need like UMA to lead the other associations, because first, I'm one of the people that believe we don't even need these split associations to begin with. I mean, when you look at all these associations, I mean a Superstar Association, useless thing. You look at Kadongo Kama Association, useless. Is it dancehall? Useless. One, why do I say it's useless?
I was just going to ask that.
Art really evolves. Like, there was a time Snoop Dogg was just a rapper, and then he woke up and did a gospel album. So if you have this association, does that mean now he belongs to two associations? Like, people keep switching. Like, today you'll be doing Kadongo Kam when you're starting up, but by the time you're in your third year in the industry, you've switched to pop and you've done it. There is evolution. People
and
evolve.
the ability to be creative and delve into something else.
You can't keep keeping people in like a pot because that's the association they subscribe to. So for me, when it comes to that, I don't even think we need these associations. Like, yes, I'm still of the knowledge. Okay, I'm still of those people that believe that we don't even need UMA to begin with. We actually need people to lobby. Because
no, I think that's a very wrong thing.
Yeah,
you should
let me
be saying
just
on
let me
national
just
media.
ask him this question. As a seasoned arts journalist, you must be following some of the ways that other musicians in other countries perhaps run their affairs. What is happening there? Do they have
most of them
lobby groups? The way
have
you suggest?
lobby groups.
Excellent.
And lobby
what
groups.
What is the framework?
Lobby groups are most
operate?
of the times led by people that are not even artists, by people that are working in the industry. And the people that are working in the industry, these are people that are looking for money in the industry. Do you know why those people are important? Because when they thrive, the artist thrives. And I'm not talking about promoters, I'm talking about people that are either running a record label, people that are running big business in the industry.
And maybe just to give you a little information, the founders of the association had the same idea you have. Because I think Julius Chaze was the first president. We've had Isaac Rochi being there. And these people have stepped aside and told people. So what you're saying...
Why did they step aside?
The only problem is there has been... the challenges of the music industry have not just begun today. UPRS, which is a collective body, was established in 1985. So for over 39 years, no musician has benefited directly from copyright. The copyright law was enacted in 2006. The same time with Nigeria, you can see how Nigeria boosted and how we have stayed stagnant.
What's the way forward right now in light of just about everything that is going on? You seem not to be able, as a cluster of either performers and creatives, to disengage from the politics because of the circumstances of the day. And everyone understands what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. People needed to adopt the new normal and to survive, especially that you couldn't do concerts and stuff like that. How do we disengage from this? What is the way forward?
It's impossible to disengage art from politics. One, art is the way of life, and art is an expression. Most of the times you're going to say things that are happening to you. And by the way, when you're saying these things, at times you will not know that because you're saying them, someone is feeling threatened. You will talk about the children you saw that are not going to school when you're coming to Kampala. And before you know, the person that's threatened by that information is your area MP. So art is the way of life that you cannot disengage from the politics, because most of the times they say what they feel, they say what they've had people say, and at times they say things to communicate. But I think, one, we need to understand how we ended up where we are, and did we even have to end up there? Because I think you said during COVID, that's when this whole thing of people starting to go to Gulu started coming up. But was that the reason? I mean, was that what we had to do? You see, one of the reasons why we never benefited from the copyright, even when we had a law, by the way, which is one of the best laws in Africa that exists. One, our implementation was poor, and two, we did not even understand the law to begin
There's a
with.
very familiar laugh when it comes to implementation of some of the
Yeah.
laws.
That one is all over the
Like we
country.
did not even understand the law itself. Artists did not understand the law itself.
Up to today.
Trust me, we are talking about 2015. There were artists that were okay with people pirating their music downtown
Yep.
because they claimed they were promoting them. By the time we went into COVID, I remember I had an interview with the interim CEO of UPRS, who currently is a CEO, fully CEO. And the numbers of artists that were registered with UPRS were really appalling. Like the numbers were really small. So it's one thing for artists to say they've not benefited from UPRS, but then it's another thing, are those artists actually registered with UPRS?
Okay, that seems to be a very broad aspect, especially when it comes to corporate. Let's get back to the gist of the matter right now, the politics of the musicians. Waiki Benda and I don't know the other, but there is a bit of a stalemate on who should be where, on which board, and why they should be there. If they are not there, then things cannot move like this. What's going on?
So first of all, just to take you back, a recap on the question of the way forward.
Yeah.
There is what was supposed to be done, or artists had to understand in the beginning, that artists shouldn't be politicians, but human rights defenders.
Human rights defenders.
Because an association is established by the national constitution, by the 1995 constitution, I think Article 29, those are freedoms of expression, human rights, and all this. And also this book
That
was
is Civic
specifically
Space Handbook.
civic space, yeah. It was specifically established by the Copyright Institute of Uganda, that is run by the council of the association, who is Council Silver Chagulanyi, for the same purpose of what should artists be doing about the politics and this. So about your question about the stalemate, Waiki Benda was one of the former presidents that resigned. We have had over 4 presidents resign from the association, and this should have given the nation a view of what is actually happening in there. Most people have self-interests. They come thinking with different mindsets. They think there is money, this is the time I'm going to recover, or I'm going to use the title as president of the association to become a star, or you know, then they get off the actual plan. So me, I'll take it back to the founders. What was the purpose of the founders of this association? For them, there are 3 major challenges that I've always talked about, and you mentioned ignorance, because people do not understand these laws. Some of them didn't want to know.
There hasn't been sustained effort to ensure that they're enlightened.
Well, very good. You know, so even before people would have interest in running for office, they should have been having interest in understanding how the industries are run, how digital marketing is working today, how other industries in the regional countries are, you know, making it happen.
Well, can I give you a brief preamble?
Please do before I
a brief preamble. Issue. Like the year was, I think, 2017. We had a lot of Nigerians performing in Uganda, and 2 artists, which was, I think, King Saha and Jose Chameleon, came together and, brainstormed. And the issue at that time was we need to save Ugandan music.
True.
And that whole issue, I do not have an idea how it spiraled over to UPRS, and before you knew, UMA was being formed
because it had to be formalized
on totally different things from what had actually brought these people together. Yeah, so
those were the 3 challenges I was talking about. First, the founders were of the view that there is a big blockage or hindrance of Ugandan music going out to the global market. And this is why Nigerian music is overtaking our own industry. So that was one of the things that they had to work on. But establishing the association was the best way we could do this, and still we uphold it. Secondly, there was also a cry. The late Radio Mose always spoke to the loudest of his voice, claiming that there are people who are benefiting from this industry who are not even musicians.
Now, that's a bit of a contradiction. over a week ago, there was a discussion,
Yeah.
and there were gentlemen who suggested that musicians need to be managed just the way the average management of a musician is. The one who manages is actually sometimes not a musician himself or herself.
And of course, artists need to realize that in all big industries, the biggest people that get most of the money from the music are not musicians.
That is a reality we must accept, and capitalism has its way it rolls out, and we cannot disengage from that. But Andrew Kagwa, just help us understand, if right now there was a rollout of special committees or teams that sit and map out or thresh together how things can be managed for musicians in order to, for example, accountants, public relations officers, people who understand that particular profession and are doing it at a fee, and then musicians only benefit as members, not active managers. Isn't that possible?
That's very much possible. And when I say they need people to lobby for them, that's exactly what I was trying to talk about. When you need people that actually understand policy, people that understand management, people that understand administration, and people that are going to talk about things they do understand. I mean, we are trying to pick a president over, I could say, potato and eggplants, but I mean,
No, that is
if we ended up with one of these presidents, can they actually present a policy when they're trying to talk about, yes, we have a lot of Nigerian music coming in. We have a lot of media houses playing more Nigerian music than they're actually playing Ugandan music. But can we send a representative that can suggest a policy that can work to change that? Like, can we send an artist? I mean, we have a president, an interim president for UMA, and they are I think they are the lead headliner for Tiwa Savage's concert. This month we've just started. And this is the same person that was on, I think, on social media in 2020 complaining about 2 Nigerians performing in Kampala during COVID. So what have they done about? I mean, when this happened, they were president, and they are still president when they are lined up to headline for Tiwa Savage. I mean, what are they doing about it? And do they even know what to do about it?
You're an artist.
Yes.
Where can consensus be galvanized to allow everyone understand that you don't need to be an official or a leader for you to benefit? Has that discussion surfaced anywhere?
Yes, I'm also among the people that raised it in a meeting, and all the incumbent leaders, cabinet leaders, went quiet. Everyone was like, what is he talking about? But I give them an example. I told them, yo, we need a person like Chirumira who has money and can go and lobby for us. For us, we just benefit. Because this guy knows how to play with money. He's a businessman, you know, and everyone was keeping quiet. So we shouldn't dispute the fact that the Ugandan industry is quite unique from other sectors. We mainly benefit from stage performances, and we pay media houses to play our content instead of the other way around. So there is a way artists feel like they really need to claim for what is theirs. And I think where the consensus should be drawn is to just continue the involvement. We really need to continue the talks. We need to continue reaching out. But also, let government come back and renegotiate. We cannot work without the government.
Now that's a very...
We needed to come back and renegotiate, and we formalize how we are going to put this industry to the next level. Because we already were having a big contribution to the national GDP, even regardless of our formalization. So, yeah.
Andrew, that gentleman seems to be between a rock and a hard place.
A rock and a hard place. This is art. Art will always have more numbers than the government. And art actually can sustain itself without the government. Personally, I do not think they need the government. Like, bluntly, I don't think they need the government.
Okay, if you were asked, for example, let me just constitute you into a consultant based on the fact that you have knowledge, having covered the arts for a long time, and you are a seasoned journalist. What can be done to streamline the industry, most importantly, to create a new path that is first sustainable, agreeable to all, and acceptable to the audience, who are the people who take in much of what products musicians are producing?
The first thing would start by creating the right team, and that right team should have a couple of lawyers.
Yep.
Should have a legislator, and like I said, one of the things these people have to do is to help with advising on policy, and one policy that's going to work for the industry, because policy is not just about getting Ugandan music played, but policies, how are Ugandan artists going to be paid? Why should someone do an event in Kampala and they are spending like $100,000 and they are spending $50,000 on foreign artists, and they're probably spending about $2K on the local artists? The policies of social responsibility, like how a company is giving back to the art industry generally. So for me, it's always about policy. It starts with policy. Many of the things we are grumbling with right now, is it form this board, form this what, like most of those things are not going to take us anywhere.
Well, I'm not very exclusively conversant with how the things are run within the music industry, but earlier you spoke about the fact that it shouldn't be Uganda Musicians Association, but Uganda Musicians Associations. Now, that solves a problem. For example, if in Gulu, or Northern Uganda, Eastern Uganda, Western Uganda, each can be able to create their own policy frameworks and then create leadership positions and govern themselves, and then later simply come together to drive the national agenda. How possible is that? Is it an idea that has even been thrown around and is acceptable to some of the musicians?
Yeah, very great, and that's a very relevant question. And also, to just begin from where he stopped, he said he doesn't support government involvement, but again he speaks of policies. So there is no way we can have policies implemented without government involvement. This is the level at which we want it. Let them come in as overseers, watchdogs, and policy makers and
leave
implementers.
Operations too.
Yeah, but not interfere with the activities and how musicians are running their business. So with your question, yes, that has been brought on table. And the biggest challenge we should be talking about today is why the election was postponed for the 4th time now. And this is because regional leaders wrote petitions to UNCC and they went to the minister until she made her directive. So regional clusters were established again because General Saleh asked all splitter groups to go back and form one association that can be represented and aligned with government. So the people in Gulu had their own organization and are following their own policies. The people in Jinja, Iganga, Mbale, because everyone has different challenges, moreover, and different members there. So the purpose of establishing these regional clusters and offices was to try and curb the problem of inclusiveness. So all these regional leaders that wrote these petitions wrote them with a commanding voice or with a claim that they are being sidelined from the association matters and what and what. But the constitution is very clear of the association. Yeah, we only needed, we didn't have funds to organize elections all over the country. So the committee, the electoral committee, gave us an option and said, please, we are going to have one polling station. If you can, travel to Kampala. Those who can afford, travel to Kampala.
And disenfranchisement of the highest order.
So you can't bring a person from Karamoja, you can't bring a person from, the same way you bring a person.
All right, gentlemen, I think we're going to have to wrap this up, but as we do, I would like your very last words and the way forward. Please do, so that Andrew Kagwa can sum it up. I don't know whether you've read that particular document pretty well before.
I see smiles on his face.
If you haven't, please do the journalist tactic and go through it very quickly so you can give us, wrap it up. All right.
Yes, so my departing words, with no any kind words to the Honorable Minister Amongi, please recall back the policy board and renegotiate with it. Do not de-empower, but actually empower them, because you may not have enough time and also sustainable information to make such decisions like you earlier did.
Okay.
With your promise of providing funds to regional leaders to come and vote, let it be within reasonable time, because we matters creative arts cannot go on without a proper leadership in the association.
All right, let me just take this opportunity to get the feel of reggae and the fact that you've done this music and what informs most of the reggae tones and the music. He said something that was very poignant. The fact that the issues of the day, what you see, you sing about it. It doesn't matter how the other person out there receives it. It could be something that makes them uncomfortable. Then there are those that are soothed and they believe that there is a better life tomorrow because of the kind of music that you have played. Before we return to the issues of the day, tell us what is reggae and how do you
so reggae music is of course related to community problems, challenges, one love, peace, unity, and it is not music done ordinarily. It's instrumentation. Most of it is actually recorded and produced live. So I'm one of those who have been lucky enough to have a connection with the Jamaicans. And if me stand to chant right about now with a Jamaican thing, you could have never understand nothing. All
right. I'm going to have to come for some lessons there. Next Friday, I must begin the show in Patois.
Anyway, in Uganda, reggae hit us in about the 60s with Bob Marley, of course, and of course our own African giant, the late Lucky Dube, and taken over by Philip Bongole Lutaya and now Maddox that we celebrate up to today. So we don't have so many reggae artists, and these are one of the things that I'm trying to put my energies to make sure that we have a really reggae foundation in the country. There are so many young unknown talents down there, but they don't have the right platforms out there, especially because the cost of production is not something that we can easily manage to. And still this brings us back to lobbying and the proper streamlining of the
You talk about things
industry
you're putting energies into. I'll allow Andrew Kagwa to go on to that literature vacation just slightly in 1 minute or two. What are you putting energies to in terms of digitization, ensuring that music is able to get to the people? Many artists today are struggling with adapting to that. You know, people think that if I can post something, a song on Twitter, on Facebook, then I've embraced digitization. But it is more sustained than that. You need to be more focused, and you must have a plan in order to make the music sell and then ensure that the returns come in. How are you doing that, and how are your other colleagues in the industry adopting?
Yes, well, today with the new normal and of course with the effects of COVID, artists really, especially Ugandan artists, had to or forcefully adopt the new normals and digital marketing platforms. So personally, on a personal basis, I'm still working on an album, so I've not really been in active commercial music for some time. But my social media, the moment you Google Barbara, they will just display all my platforms.
What?
So
what?
Yeah, they will just.
What is that?
Barbara. Yeah, that's my pseudonym. Yeah,
that's your pseudonym.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what digital marketing does. We no longer have to move with CDs, flash in Kubamu, Wano here. You can reach limitless coverage of people. Yeah, I know artists here in Uganda that play so well in Japan, in Malaysia, and here they actually don't have a good following. So to all artists out there, especially the younger ones that are coming up, please make sure that you have an IT course or a small certificate or something, but do something with online marketing or digital marketing and something. This is where the world has gone, and you cannot dispute that fact. All
right, Andrew Kagwa, you're going to wrap it up with what you've read in there, and then the whole digitization agenda and how it can help artists, please. on the go?
Yeah, one, when it comes to digitization, you see, I remember last year I was here with someone that almost beat me up in this studio because I called him a thief, and I do not really take back what I say. So even today I still believe that person is a thief. The person was actually the guy who runs DJ Ariocom. I think he has one of the biggest catalogs of Ugandan music, and much of it is stolen or he gets for free. Some is stolen, some he gets for free from artists, which comes
do you
back
have
to
a way of substantiating these allegations?
Yeah, I know very many artists who are like, my music is on that website, but I never gave it to them.
Where can we find their complaints? Because we are a media house.
now that
you want us to amplify allegations.
It is one of the things I'm still talking about.
Okay.
Like, one, artists do not know that their music is their IP, is their intellectual property, and they must protect it. So many of them do not know what to do when they find their song in a movie and they didn't actually give that song to that movie. Most of the thing they can do is complain about it online, like, can you imagine that movie has my song but I didn't give it to them? And also the people that are stealing music, on the other hand, believe they are helping people to promote music by putting it on these free websites.
Hey, wait a minute. They believe they help. Yeah,
they
anyway,
believe,
given the circumstances.
And you will even see someone who is like, please help me put my music. Like, there's a time I saw Shiba share a link of Howie Bees online. Like, yeah, my song is #1, and you're thinking, these people are playing your music for free. They are getting traffic. They're getting traffic, and they're getting adverts because of your songs. You're not getting anything from them ranking you #1 besides clout. But she was happy she was #1. So we need to inform the sector. They need to know that they can actually make money
out of
digitization.
Yeah.
People need to pay when they play your music. I know our websites are not making a lot of money like Spotify and the likes, but what if they are giving like a 2% back to UPRS, and then it can trickle down to the members that are members of UPRS, and their music is actually on these sites? Because these sites actually have numbers. You can see this song has been played this number of times. You can see, I think there is a place where Eddie Kenzo has been downloaded about 1 million times. That's on DJ Ariocom. And Eddie Kenzo does not benefit from that in any way. It's only this person that's benefiting in the numbers, and they can get adverts and the likes. So
are you following up on that, DJ Ariocom, and what he's doing?
Jeez, I don't know how many stories I've written about that, and I'm even doing a documentary film about that.
The stories, have you interfaced with the people who...
With the person, that's the person that almost beat me up in this studio.
All right. So you're afraid to interface?
I'm saying that at least I've done my part.
You've done your part.
But then you do your part and you wait for the artist to react. Only one person has reacted. It was only Yepas that came out and was like, I do not want my music on websites that are not paying for our music.
All right.
And all the others were shy to talk about it. But then, yeah, when it comes to this document,
in a minute,
one, I think the artists are really trapped with this. One, it kind of feels like they handed over the association. It's going to be hard for them to run it without the government.
Andrew Kagwa?
And it's going to become so hard for them to raise their voice to make demands.
All right, there you have it. We've been told exactly what is on the ground, and perhaps the way forward is now clear. We are hoping interventions will be held, and many of the artists will...
Can I say one more thing? I think we need to review the policy board.
Review the policy board.
We need to review the policy board.
There you have
How did those people get there? And can they be reshuffled? Can people move? Can heads roll?
All in the Constitution.
Andrew Kagwa says it for you there. I hope the powers that be can listen and, of course, go on to what is no doubt very, very hard task of remaking of the music industry, especially in terms of governance and leadership. Many thanks, Rama Muyinda, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to get to understand a bit on what the dynamics of the reggae music industry is. I want to learn patois. I hope I could even sign out with patois, but I still need my job. Stay with us.